Hannah's Diary_Dreams, Diary, and Everything in Between. By Huria Arif. Chapter 1, August 25th, the beginning of something special. Dear Diary. So, yesterday was my birthday, August 24th, 13. I'm officially a teenager. I still can't believe it. I'm not sure if I feel any different, but something about writing 13 when people ask my age makes me feel important. Grown up, maybe? I don't know yet. Anyway, the best part of turning 13, besides the chocolate cake, was getting you this diary. You're beautiful. Leather-bound, with soft cream-colored pages that just ask to be written on. I've wanted one for so long. I used to scribble thoughts in school notebooks and the margins of math books, but this feels official. The diary was a gift from Aunt Jasmine. She knows me better than anyone. She even said, "Hannah, I thought it was time your thoughts had a proper home." Isn't that the most poetic thing ever? We had a small birthday party at home, nothing huge. Just family and a few neighbors. Mom made my favorite spaghetti, Dad brought flowers, roses, because he says I'm growing into a young lady, and that made everyone laugh, and Nora, ugh, don't get me started on Nora. Nora's my little sister. She's 7 and always stealing the spotlight without even trying. She wore her glittery unicorn dress and sang, "Happy Birthday," so loudly that Uncle James said it gave him a headache. But then she hugged me and gave me a little handmade card that said, "To my bestest sister Hannah." I can't lie, it melted my heart a bit. Zach, my older brother, was nice for once. He's 16 and very into guitar and being cool. But last night, he played "Happy Birthday" on his guitar, and when I blushed, he winked and said, "You're alright, kid." Which, if you know Zach, is basically the same as saying, "I love you to the moon." Mum fussed over everything, as usual. She wanted the tablecloth to match the balloons. I mean, really? But that's just Mum being Mum. And Dad, he just smiled, making sure everyone had cake and enough to eat. I love him for that. He's calm when Mum's spinning in a million directions. Anyway, back to you. I'm not sure what you'll become yet. Maybe you'll hold all my secrets. Or maybe you'll turn into a book of poems. I've been obsessed with poetry lately, not the rhyming kind we read in class, but the deep, strange kind that makes you feel something you can't explain. Some poems confuse me, like they're written in a secret language. But I have this idea, what if I understand them someday? What if life helps me figure out what they mean? So maybe that's what this diary is, a mix of everything. My dreams, my poetry, and all the messy bits in between. Here's to the first page of something beautiful. Love. Hannah. Chapter 2, August 28th. School felt unusually quiet that morning. The sky was a soft gray, hanging heavy with clouds that never seemed to burst. Hannah sat near the window in her classroom, absent-mindedly tracing her finger over the condensation forming on the glass. She hadn't touched the diary again since the first entry. Life had resumed its normal rhythm, school, homework, and the occasional bickering between her and Lily over who got the last chocolate chip cookie. Her birthday already felt like a faded balloon in the corner of her memory. But today wasn't going to be an ordinary day. During the third period, the school principal's voice came through the intercom. "All middle school students, please proceed to the auditorium for a special assembly." There was a collective groan from the class. Assemblies usually meant either a lecture on dress code or an endless safety drill. But something about the tone in the principal's voice made Hannah curious. The auditorium was dimly lit, with rows of students whispering and shuffling into place. A woman stood at the podium. She wasn't anyone Hannah recognized, not a regular teacher. She looked to be in her late 40s, tall and graceful, with short silver blonde hair that framed her sharp cheekbones. Her skin was fair, almost porcelain, and her pale blue eyes held a calm, knowing kind of stillness. She wore a long navy dress with a thin belt at the waist, and a soft floral scarf that added a splash of color. When she spoke, her voice was calm, warm, like tea on a rainy day. "I'm Ms. Evelyn," she began, scanning the room slowly with a kind of patient grace. "And I want to speak to you about something most people don't talk about, your soul." A hush fell over the auditorium. She continued, "We spend so much time thinking about our test scores, our friend circles, our hobbies, even how many likes we get online. But how often do we think about who we really are? What we're made of, not just our bones and names, but something deeper. That invisible part of us that feels pain when words are cruel, and joy when we see kindness." Hannah blinked. The words didn't just land in her ears, they landed somewhere behind her ribs. "Our soul," Ms. Evelyn went on, "is always trying to speak to us. But we're too distracted to hear. Too busy to notice. Until life stops us. With grief. With beauty. With silence. And then, we listen." There was a stillness in the room now. A real one. Even Lily, sitting a few rows down, had stopped whispering. "You see, when we lose our way, it's not always about forgetting directions," Ms. Evelyn said. "Sometimes, it's about forgetting connection, to ourselves, and to the one who created us." She didn't say God in any specific way. Just, the one. It made it feel like she was talking to everyone, regardless of what they believed. "And the good news," she smiled gently. "You can always rebuild that connection. You don't need a perfect place or a perfect self. Just a willing heart." Hannah wasn't sure why, but her throat felt tight. Like she might cry, but couldn't quite explain why. The whole room seemed wrapped in a kind of softness, like time had slowed down. After the assembly, on the way back to class, she didn't say much. She didn't even complain when Lily bumped into her twice and didn't apologize. Her mind was still stuck on that word, soul. That night, she opened her diary again. Chapter 3, September 11th. Dear Diary. It's been weeks since I wrote last. September has rolled in with its golden sunlight and a strange heaviness I can't explain. Maybe that's why I opened this diary again tonight. I need to empty something. Today, I remembered something I hadn't thought about in a long while. It happened when I was just 11, a year younger than Nora is now. We were in the middle of a boring science lesson, whispering and passing notes like we always did back then. Stacy, my classmate, leaned over, her face pale and anxious. "Hey," she whispered. "Can you check? I think I might be bleeding. From down there." I was confused. "What? Why would you be bleeding? Are you hurt?" I panicked, thinking she might have fallen or scraped herself. "No," she whispered, cheeks flushed. "I think it's my period. I don't know. Just look at the back of my skirt. Please." That word, period, sounded unfamiliar and grown up. I did as she asked, unsure what I was even looking for, but when I spotted a small red stain, I nodded quietly. She sighed like someone had lifted a mountain off her chest. "Thanks," she whispered, and tried to tie her jacket around her waist. Later that day, she told me more. Things I'd never heard from anyone else, not even Mom. Stacy was blunt. "It's just something all girls go through. It means your body is growing and you'll be able to have kids someday. It's weird, but it's natural." Her voice dropped lower, almost conspiratorial. "You know Miss Tina? The tall substitute teacher from last year with a bit of a mustache? She didn't get her period. That's why she looks like that. And that's why she's still not married." I remember going quiet. That day, a part of me shifted. I didn't want to ask more. I didn't want to know more. A strange kind of fear crept in, like I had stumbled into a secret world too early, like I'd opened a door no one had given me the key to. When I came home that day, I almost told Mom. Almost. But something stopped me. She never liked these kinds of talks, as she would say. So I buried it. For 2 years. But tonight. I don't know. Maybe I've been carrying the weight of that secrecy for too long. Because the thing is, I still haven't gotten mine. And I'm 13 now. 2 years of pretending like I didn't know. 2 years of wondering when it would happen. And lately, I've been feeling weird about it. I mean, all the girls in my class are talking about cramps and pads and those days, and I just sit quietly, pretending I know what they mean. But I don't. Not really. And Stacy's words still echo in my head, that's why Miss Tina is still unmarried. I don't want to grow up feeling broken or different. I want to fall in love one day. I want someone to look at me the way Dad looks at Mom when she's laughing in the kitchen. I want to feel normal. So I thought, maybe I should finally talk to Mom. But I wish I hadn't. She was folding laundry when I walked in. I hesitated, then finally blurted, "Mom, can I ask you something? About, like, periods?" The way she turned to look at me, shocked, almost horrified, made my heart drop. "Where did you hear that word?" she snapped. "What kind of girls are you hanging out with? Is this what they teach in school now?" I stammered, "It was a friend, 2 years ago actually. She moved away last year. I've been thinking." "God help us," she cut me off. "You've been poisoned by those girls. That's not a topic you should be discussing, especially not at this age. What's wrong with children these days?" I went quiet. Numb. My mouth went dry. "Don't ever bring this up again," she said firmly, folding the towel like it had personally offended her. "And stay away from girls like that. You hear me?" I nodded. I didn't tell her it's been eating me up for years. I didn't tell her how Stacy was the only person who ever tried to explain things. I didn't tell her that her anger scared me more than the topic ever could. And I didn't tell her that the worst part wasn't the scolding, it was the silence that followed. Like I had done something wrong by just being curious. By wanting to understand my own body. I wish I had an older sister. Someone to talk to. But all I have is Zach, and let's be real, boys don't understand stuff like this. Nora is too little. And Lily. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like she'd laugh it off. So here I am. With you, diary. The only place I can say these things. I hope someday, it'll feel less wrong to be a girl trying to understand herself. Love. Hannah. Chapter 4, The Hymn and the First Verse. Date, October 5th. It was a quiet weekend morning. The kind where the sun tiptoes into your room, hesitant and gentle, just like her thoughts today. Hannah had woken up earlier than usual. The air was crisp, the sky gray-blue, and her heart, oddly stirred. A few lines had been flying around in her head like restless birds, and she knew if she didn't catch them now, they would scatter forever. So she made her bed, pulled out her diary, this time turning it upside down, and opened it from the last page. Something about writing her poetry from the back felt special, secretive, almost sacred. But even as she held her pen, her fingers paused. She had always loved to begin with the name of God. Somehow it made things purer, lighter, grounded. So on that first page at the end of her diary, she wrote carefully, in her neatest handwriting, a hymn she'd heard once in assembly, the melody still lingering somewhere in her memory. Be Thou My Vision. Traditional Irish hymn, attributed to Dallin Fergale. Be Thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that Thou art. Thou my best thought, by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, Thy presence my light. After writing it, she placed her pen down for a moment, whispering the lines to herself. Her lips moved slowly, like they didn't want to rush through the beauty. The words comforted her, like wrapping herself in something ancient and warm. Then, on the next page, she wrote her own thoughts. The words that had been fluttering in her mind all morning. They weren't polished. But they were hers. And that made them enough. Untitled, First Attempt. By Hannah. My tears turn into a river. But I still wait for my deliverer. Not a soul to hold my pain. Just silent echoes, like falling rain. I've decided I won't cry anymore. nor knock on every locked-up door. If I must knock, let it be known. I'll knock at the gate of God alone. She read the lines twice. Then closed her diary, pressing the pages softly, like sealing a promise. It wasn't perfect. But it was a beginning. And maybe, just maybe, it was also a prayer. Chapter 5, A Gift and a Wish. Date, November 14th. Hey, Hannah. She looked up from her sketchpad, where she was drawing two owls cuddled on a branch. Zach stood awkwardly at her door, tall and slouchy in that, I'm cool but also completely clueless, way 16-year-old boys often are. You busy? Define busy, she replied, closing her pen cap. Zach came in and plopped himself onto the bean bag near her bed. I need help. Girl stuff. Hannah blinked. Okay, EW. Let's start over. He rolled his eyes. No, not that kind of girl stuff. It's Anna's birthday this weekend, and I have zero idea what to get her. Oh, Hannah grinned. So the great Zachary finally admits he's whipped. Excuse me, he said dramatically. I am not whipped. I am just, romantically confused. She stifled a giggle. Right. Okay, let me think. What do girls like? He leaned in, hopeful. Yeah? Anything, Hannah shrugged. Seriously. Even something small, like a keychain with your initials. It's the thought that matters. Zach gave her a look. What are you, 90? Girls today don't care about initials on a keychain. They want AirPods and fancy skincare. You don't get it, do you? She smirked. Some of us actually appreciate things with meaning. That's cute, Zach said sarcastically. But welcome to the 21st century, Little Miss Sentimental. People want stuff. Real stuff. Like, retail therapy level stuff. Just then, their dad, Frederick, or just Fred to everyone except their mum, walked in holding a cup of tea. Did someone say retail therapy? He asked, settling on the edge of Hannah's bed. Zach's panicking over what to get Anna for her birthday, Hannah explained. Fred took a slow sip. Ah. That's serious business. Zach looked up. You ever been in this mess, Dad? Fred grinned. Son, I've lived in that mess. For 20 years. Zach chuckled. Okay then, Master Yoda. Teach me. Fred leaned back like he was about to tell the secret of the universe. Here's the trick, when a woman's mad, don't try to fix her mood with logic. Fix it with softness. A beautiful bouquet, a bar of fancy chocolate, boom. Ice melts. Hannah laughed. You make it sound like a science experiment. Fred pointed at her. It is science. Emotional chemistry. Zach nodded. So. Anna's not mad, though. It's her birthday. Even better, Fred said. Throw in a teddy bear. Girls her age still love something they can hug when you're not around. Zach's face brightened. That's not bad. Flowers. Chocolate. Teddy bear. Romantic and safe. But before the moment could stretch too far, a voice came from the hallway, unmistakably Mum. What's going on in here? Fred straightened immediately. Oh, just helping our boy become a better man. Mum raised an eyebrow as she walked in. By teaching him how to bribe women? Fred put his hands up. Not bribery. Strategy. Totally different. I'm just training him early for your next birthday. My birthday's in 6 months, Fred, she said flatly. Exactly. Just testing their memory retention, he said smoothly. Hannah pressed her lips together, trying not to burst into laughter. Zach failed and let out a snort. Mum just shook her head and walked out muttering something about this house being a circus. Fred looked at the kids and grinned. You're welcome. That night, while Zach was probably browsing teddy bears online, Hannah curled up under her blanket and opened her diary. Diary entry, November 14th. Some moments make you stop and wish you could press pause. Tonight, I saw my brother, the cool one, completely thrown by a girl. And I saw my dad turn into a magician, like he always does, pulling out lessons wrapped in humor. I know people say fairy tales aren't real. But I think they kind of are. If you look close enough. I hope I grow up to find someone like Dad, silly, wise, a little dramatic, and deeply kind. Or someone like Zach, who pretends to be cool but secretly feels everything more than he lets on. I want a boy who remembers the way I laugh. Who understands silence. Who knows when to give me space and when to bring me flowers, even when I say I don't want them. I know I'm young. But some dreams, they just start early. Hannah. Thank you so much for listening to this audiobook. Stay tuned for next chapters.